Hi everyone, Tammy here. Welcome to my bookshelf. Today is a tag, and this tag, I'm actually going to film a couple of tags, but this first one is called Reading Pet Peeves, and I was tagged by the channel Books I'm Not Reading. So I want to thank her for tagging me, and I want to say I'm going to just tag everybody out there. You're it. Woo! Because I'm not sure who has done this tag before or not, and I don't know how long this tag has been around. If you're interested in being part of the tag, I'm going to put the tags, the questions down below in the description box, so feel free to copy and paste those. So the first question was having to do with audibles. It says, do you use or read along with Audible audiobooks? Yes, I am a huge audiobook fan. I actually, many years ago when I was getting one of my last degrees, and I had to drive about 2 hours to the university I was going to school at, it was 2 hours there, 2 hours back, night classes. So yeah, I was driving late at night, sometimes by myself, which was not super keen. Thank God for Cracker Barrel and the books they had on tape that you could get back then. And so I just love to listen to a book. Okay, especially if the presentation, the narrator is really good. I look forward to that. So I am a huge Audibles fan. I listen to that instead of music in the car, and I also, when I go out and ride my bike around the neighborhood, which I try to do pretty regularly, I am always listening to an audiobook versus music also. So, yes, there might be some audiobook snobs out there. Personally, I am not one of them. The other question was, do you utilize your library? And I would say I do a little bit, but not as much as I should. Luckily I work at a college, and so the library is within walking distance to my office. So every once in a while I'll go over there to check a book out. I do not use the public library as much as I probably should, and maybe I'm actually been thinking of doing that more recently, especially because there is a small one that popped up not too long ago near my house that I haven't even been to yet. Part of my problems with public libraries is sort of PTSD related, because years ago, I mean, it's been a long time, it's probably been 15 years ago, I worked at the public library, one of the branches of our public library, and it was not the best experience of my life, let us say. There were a lot of good things about it, but the dealing with patrons was not my favorite. And when it was time to leave, I was really grateful that I was getting out of there. Okay, so, and that's just, nothing against people who go to the library. It's just when you're on the other side of the desk, things are different. The next question was, do you DNF books, as in do not finish books? Yeah, I DNF books. I would say it's interesting because when I got my master's degree, which was in literature, I had to read a lot. And you had to read. You were assigned these books, and you had to read those books. So I trained myself to read stuff maybe I didn't like. And when I graduated, I remember thinking, oh, now I get to read something crappy, something junky, no more literature, no more classics. I'm going to read some and I'm trying to remember, I think it was Clan of the Cave Bear I picked up, and I just could not get through it. And I felt really guilty about it. And typically it's really hard for me to make myself not read a book once I've started it, even though I don't like it, because of those years of training. I went back and got another degree after my master's, and so I have trained myself to read even if I don't like what I'm reading. However, now after a certain age, I have gotten to the point where, life is short. If you don't like the book, there's another book to read, just put it down. Next question was, do you read multiple books at the same time? Yes and no, I don't read a ton at the same time. I try to do them per type of book. So typically I have a nonfiction book, usually related to research of some kind. Like right now I'm working on a book, an academic book. And so I'm still researching that. And then, even though I am in the middle of writing it too. But, and then I usually have a fiction book that is a hard copy book, and then I typically have an Audible book. Next question was, do you make time or have a specific time every day for you to read? Yes, if I didn't do that, honestly, the day gets away and then I'm tired and then I don't get any reading done. And I will say that's one of the perks of having a YouTube book channel now, a booktube channel. This is something fairly recent. I would before just try to like catch time here and there to read for pleasure. But now that I have the booktube channel, I feel a little bit more focused about that, and I have created more of a schedule. So yes, I usually after 8 o'clock at night, between 8 and 9 at night, I sit and I read before I start getting ready to go to bed. So yeah, that's typically the best time for me to read. It's the quietest time in my house. And so yeah, so that works for me. Next question was, do you dog ear books? Oh yes. Yes, I do. I don't do it all the time. It depends on my purpose for reading. If I am reading something just for pleasure, unless it's like, oh my God, I love that thing that I just read that I'm going to have to come back to that or whatever, I typically don't dog ear or annotate. However, if I am reading for information, research, yes, I will dog ear, I will write all over it, I will scribble, I will put Post-it notes everywhere. That book gets worked over. Next question was, do you annotate your books? And I guess I just answered that. So there you go. Finally, the next question and the last one, how do you feel about spoilers? I prefer not to have spoilers for books. I really, there's plenty of information on the covers, so it's not like there's nothing to talk about as far as a book if you are presenting it, and that's something I try to be very sensitive about when I do my reviews. I try not to have spoilers. I mean, if somebody outright asks me something, then I would answer that person, but I wouldn't publish it on social media or anything, because I do think when it comes to books, I prefer not to have spoilers. That's personally, I don't like them. Okie dokie, that is the end of the Pet Peeves About Reading tag. I'd love to see anybody else out there who'd like to join in on this. Thank you for Books I Don't Read for tagging me. Always appreciate the support over on BookTube. It's just an amazing group of people over there. Please give this a thumbs up if you haven't already and subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for stopping by to see what's on my bookshelf.